People look at you today, 20 years later, and they still have no idea what you're about. Tell me in a sentence who you are.
Nobody. I'm nobody. I'm a tramp, a bum, a hobo. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine. And a straight razor if you get too close to me.
Dinner in Hell Band!
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh! So tight! Incredible! Thunderous!
Just crushing it.
The growl of the bass guitar.
Really thumps you right there in the chest. It's incredible.
The warm energy from the audience applause.
Looking great. Welcome back for another exciting edition of the Dinner in Hell podcast, the show where two amateur historians talk about the atrocious underbelly of history. I am one of your co-hosts, Brad the Impaler, and with me, as always, His Most Honorable Ron Maiden.
I'm nobody. I'm nobody. I'm a podcast co-host. I'm a boxed wine. I'm a box of wine. I'm a straight edge razor at Showboat Theater. I don't know.
Yeah, so somebody in the know might have caught that clue, but for those who didn't, Ron, what is the topic of tonight's episode?
Oh my God, we're going to talk about former member of the Beach Boys, Dennis Wilson's household.
Yeah, for a while. Yeah, basically.
I was trying to make you think it was a Beach Boy member. Mm-hmm. That was a little trick. I'm doing this online course of comedy.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's like a redirect. It's simple. It's just 1, 2, 3. So I'm still working on that kind of thing. So
I have heard that it is really easy to translate it's like stand up to the written word.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be hilarious still.
Oh my God. Charles Manson and the Manson families.
Ooh.
Their atrocious trail of blood that left in LA.
Gets a pretty goddamn nasty.
Talking women shaving their heads. We're talking frickin'
people getting 51 stab wounds.
We're talking famous directors, wives.
And frankly, rock and roll.
We're talking rock and roll. We're a rock and roll history. This is the Rock and Roll History Podcast. We talk about history with the rock and roll flair. We're both wearing flaming button-down shirts from Hot Topic as we speak.
Yeah, I'm for some reason wearing sunglasses inside of the recording studio.
That's fine. You look cool. I wish I would have wore long pants instead of these cut-off jeans.
Well, what do you say we get started with the young man himself coming into the world?
Please tell me his real name is Charles Manson.
Unfortunately not.
It's not?
No, we got to go back to November 12th, 1934. A baby boy born to 16-year-old prostitute Kathleen Maddox, and his name, as you asked, was in fact No Name Maddox. His given name was No Name. I mean, that should tell you a little bit about how much his mother, in fact, cared for him.
They're like, congratulations, Mrs. Maddox. It's a boy. What are we putting on the birth certificate, Mom?
Fuck it, No Name, whatever. I got to take this home with me now, I guess?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're a mama now. Yeah. You got to take your breastfeeding classes now and
Just put him in that sack over there. I'll deal with it, I guess.
Yeah. No Name Maddox, so.
Yeah, she could give a fuck about him. It didn't matter. His old man was a piece of shit. He didn't matter. He blew off on him. Funny thing about him is his name was Colonel, like Colonel, Colonel. That was his first name.
Like the Sanders?
Yeah. And he told his mom that he was a colonel in the army. And then when he found out that Kathleen was pregnant, he was like, they're pulling me back out on army duty. I got to go. But he just worked at like the sawmill in town.
Colonel Walker. Like his first name was Walker.
Yeah, but that was his middle name. That's a dick move right there. That guy sounds like a real winner.
It's possible to have Walker as a first name.
Yeah, but it's weird to have Colonel as a first name.
Like if you were to, let's say you were a Texas Ranger.
Walker told me I have AIDS.
Isn't that his first name, Walker?
Yeah.
His first name is Walker?
His last name Walker?
His last name is Texas Ranger.
I only ever saw the one episode of Walker, Texas Ranger, where it has, I want to say Haley Joel Osment, and it's just people cut a clip from it where it just goes, Walker told me I have AIDS. That's the only familiarity with Walker, Texas Ranger I have. Well, his mom was, as you may surmise, as someone who was at one point a 16-year-old prostitute, was not on the right side of the law and would sometimes get locked up.
Yeah.
One such times, when he was 5, he went to go live with his aunt and uncle.
Like in the hills?
Yeah, in West Virginia.
Yep.
It must have been real bad because he describes the time when the woman who named him No Name got out of prison and picked him up as the best times of his entire life.
Mom? That named him No Name?
Yeah. He was like, when she picked me up from the aunt and uncles, that was the greatest time in my whole life.
Really?
Yes.
You know, you came right out the gate and claimed that his mother was a prostitute, but you know what? She was also a mom.
A terrible one. Yeah.
All right. Prostitute mom.
Yeah, she didn't give a fuck about him. At one point, when he was at like 9 or 10 years old, he was on his mom's lap in a bar.
Uh-oh.
And the waitress was a mother wanted to be a mom. She was like, "Oh, I wish I could take care of him," you know. Or actually, I think he was a little bit younger than that. But she was like, "I'd love to take care of him." And Kathleen says, "A pitcher of beer, and he's all yours."
It's probably like $2 back then.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So
a whole pitcher? Let me think about it.
Yeah. So she brings over a pitcher of beer. She drinks the pitcher of beer, leaves Charlie behind. And it wasn't until 5 or 6 days later when an aunt and uncle of Charlie's had to come track him down because his mom straight up did sell him for a pitcher of beer.
Damn.
Yeah, so
I imagine the mom is discussing this right in front of him. How old is he?
He was young. I mean, younger than 12, because when he was 12, he was out on his own.
Enough
basically.
to hear the conversation?
I think so, yeah.
So the mom's like, it's fucking... I wish I could play volleyball, but I can't because I don't have anyone to watch this piece of shit.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it was after he was picked up from his aunt and uncles, and I believe that was when he was 8 years old. So it was around 8 or 9 before he started getting shipped off to fucking juvenile facilities.
Now, you said that his favorite times was when she picked him up from the aunt and uncles. I can only tell you like how fun it was there.
I'm saying yeah, exactly.
Sucked.
How fucked up what was going on with aunt and uncle that his mother, who during the period of time I believe he's describing as the best in his life, sold him for a pitcher of beer. I mean, you can't imagine that kid got a lot of hugs. Just saying.
There's a clip on YouTube where he's talking about living with his uncle, and his uncle's like, "Don't go to no Yankee school, boy. We didn't surrender yet. And you ain't going to no Yankee school." And he's like, "So I went and I lit it on fire." He was 9 years old. He lit his school on fire. Like that was one of the first dumbass crimes he did. This guy does like a whole string of like dumbass crimes before these murders, these Manson family murders.
Yeah, people were describing him as like a weirdly sneaky, creepy kid. Like he was pickpocketing people and shit all the time.
Like stealing cars,
running like little schemes with his mom. Like she'll distract him and he'll snatch. Like she taught him crime.
Oh yeah,
basically, yeah.
Like she'll go into the jewelry store and she'll talk to the guy, but he'll have like a glass cutter go and cut a circle out of the glass and steal the diamond necklace. Like cartoon.
Yeah, he basically was just born into the grift and family business. Is how I'd describe it, honestly.
No name.
Yeah. I mean, the rest of his childhood was basically spent getting sent to and then escaping from any variety of juvenile institutions. It's like, it's bananas. I mean, eventually he gets tossed off to a DC federal juvie facility. And this is some shit in here.
Is it the boys' school for boys or something?
Maybe. The Indiana School for Boys. Is that the one you're thinking of? He did spend some time there. I remember reading
something
that.
School for boys.
Yeah. The punishments here are bizarre and sadistic. It was almost like they let the kids punish each other. So, like, you got a bunch of, like, orphaned criminal children all contained. They're all... It's like a prison in there. You know, it literally is, but it's all children. It's like but they run it like fucking Lord of the Flies.
I say we burn him with a cigarette in his back.
Yeah, and they would just be like, yeah, I'll turn around and... like, the punishment... I had a teacher who would do something like this on, admittedly, a significantly lower scale. Is what he would do is he would be like if you said something stupid in class, he'd be like, all right, I'm going to turn around now and like whatever happens. And then everyone else would jump out of their chairs and like punch you. Like not super hard. Everybody was kind of playing along. You know what I mean? But like everyone would punch you in the shoulder for a second and then go sit back down. It was honestly kind of fun. It was not like an abusive scenario. It was like a funny thing.
What if the idiot was like in the corner seat and then everybody had to get up? Go all the way around the desk.
Yeah. Takes 15 minutes of him just like silently staring at a chalkboard.
Turning around now. I hear footsteps.
20 people clamoring back to their desks.
You got a chipped tooth. Like, God damn it.
3 people are dead.
Cool teacher. I want my apple back, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, well, what Charles Manson had to deal with as a little kid is basically the worst version of what you're imagining. He would, like, they had snitch kids who would be like, hey, like, Charlie did this, and they'd be like, all right, I'm going to leave the room, do whatever you want, and the other boys were raping each other.
I got the perfect punishment.
Yeah, I'll let the other kids rape them. To describe one specific incident, this place had a dairy. They would make kids work at the dairy. And Charles was working in there one day when another one of the children picked up a bunch of silage off the dairy floor, which is like feed. It's like dried grass that's dried before it turns into hay. And was spitting just a bunch of tobacco juice in it. And then a couple of the kids tackle Charlie, and he takes the silage mixed with the tobacco spit and shoves it up Charles's ass. And then basically offers him. They're holding him down, and they offer him up to all of the other kids that were working in the dairy at the time.
Who wants a piece of this tobacco spit straw?
I mean, no word if there were any takers that day in the dairy. But even that's, I mean, you can imagine is horrible enough for like a little kid to fucking endure. What a nightmare. How humiliating is that? You remember like how sensitive you were about like how other people thought of you when you were like fucking 12 years old?
Yeah.
Imagine like that happening.
My God.
Like that's ridiculous. That's traumatic as shit. I will say, if that is starting to make you feel a little bit too sympathetic to the subject of our episode here today, he was eventually caught raping another student or inmate either one, I guess, schoolmate or inmate, either one's interchangeable, holding a razor blade to his throat.
See, that was the times, Brad. You're not getting it. That was the times you did razor blade rape then. It happened. You know, we just turned our head the other way. People knew about it.
Now, he does say, in like when other people have asked him about him, he said the kid just wanted it, like that it was just consensual sex between them. But the kid, I mean, we're talking like 1941. So the kid didn't want to, they agreed. They were like, okay, like, I want to do this. We can do it. But if we get caught, I'm saying you made me, because that's the only way I can save face. Like, nobody can know that I wanted to do this. Yeah. He said that was what happened. But, I mean, when he gets busted with a razor blade, doesn't seem, I mean, I don't know. Seems like he was probably raping the kid, and it was terrible. Yeah, he's
cool
a piece
story.
of shit.
Cool
Charles
story.
Manson's a piece of shit, is what I'm saying.
Cool story, Manson.
I went over, we talk about how fucked up their childhoods are. If you think I'm trying to make you feel sympathy for them, maybe only Dahmer. Because I believe he could have been saved.
Dahmer could have been saved?
I'm just joking. They're all scum.
Dahmer switched over when he got the surgery. The hernia, the scrotum surgery.
Yeah, that fucked him up, but
he came out of it like different.
Yeah, but everybody should know, if they're like, hey, like, I'm about to kill somebody. Like, if I find myself where I'm like, I'm just going to indiscriminately kill someone, I'm going to put myself in the hospital.
I watched the movie My Friend Dahmer.
Yeah.
Although, you know, we did a pretty good episode on him, I felt. They didn't even touch on his, like, before high school. It was basically 9th grade or something like that.
Well, yeah, I think the book it's based on, that's when the dude met him.
Oh, okay.
Was in high school. So that's, yeah.
So
makes sense. But yeah, all these people have fucked up childhoods, but they're all fucked up too. I mean, they're not, like, cute. Charles Manson's like 5'4", though. He's kind of cute.
It could be an AC/DC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but that incident I was describing is the reason, the first time he sort of got bumped from, like, juvenile / orphanage type situation to, like, you're in fucking jail. Because that's, like, a serious crime.
He was stealing cars and driving them across state lines.
Yeah, busting out of these places. And when he was 12, he lived in fucking Indianapolis on his own. He rented an apartment when he was 12 years old, supporting himself by breaking into stores at night.
He did 7 years for trying to cash a forged treasury check for $44.
$44.
All these little stupid ass things. Like, everyone knows him as, like, oh, this guy, like, he never did the murders. He did have a swastika tattooed on his forehead.
That was carved.
Yeah, but he eventually got it inked. You know, it's black.
Oh.
Yeah. I was thinking...
Who's hanging out with him to give him the prison tat?
I'm thinking, who is the guy that was, like, responsible for touching it up all the time, like, every 3 years? Hey, I need the swastika touched up. Break out the needle, like...
Is Kaczynski in the same, like, federal supermax as him? I don't know.
Based on a true story, the prison tattoo artist for Charles Manson. His tale. My Sundays with Charles. Yeah, he did a lot of stupid little crimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, of 8 offenses in the little prison that got him sent to the big prison, at least 3 of those were rapes, though. So even if you thought that other one was consensual, he was still a very bad boy.
5'4"? How big was the victim?
I don't know. We're talking about juvenile facilities.
Oh, shit.
They could have been younger.
Cut!
He was mostly a child during this himself. He gets out, though, just before his 21st birthday. The first time he's an adult and is free.
Yeah.
The first time. He actually gets married to a woman named Rosalie. And he's like, Rosalie, I'm going straight. He's deciding he's going to go straight, knocks her up. They have a baby. However, he
sells the baby for a pack of smokes.
No. It seemed like he was trying to go straight, but he's a career criminal. He can't do anything else.
My home's in jail.
Yeah, so he always falls back to robbery, burglary, stealing cars, and eventually pimping, along with a couple forged checks in there.
Yeah. Pimping.
But they drove all the way across the country in a stolen car, so he got locked up as well, and Rosalie ditched his ass immediately. And Charles Manson Sr. never saw Charles Manson Jr. ever again. Never happened.
Was that his name?
Yeah.
Charles Manson Jr.?
Yep.
What if he's works at
Rosalie had a lot of confidence in the senior to let that happen.
He's he works at he's in retail and shit. He's
He's in an actuary or something.
They got me working 60 hours a week salary.
Probably a mechanical engineer.
CV. He has to run a CVS. And the alarm goes off at 3 a.m. His phone rings at night. I gotta go turn off the alarm. Be back. What a drag.
Oh, yeah.
If any of our CVS managers listening right now, that's bullshit salary system. They abuse you.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. And you don't make shit either.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's basically in and out of jail even after that for getting into pimping, getting into the robberies and the burglaries until he's about 32. And when he was 32, he had spent more than half of his life behind bars.
Yeah. It was his home. Life outside of the jail, he didn't know what to do.
Yep. And we mentioned rock and roll earlier. While he was in, he got lessons from Alvin Creepy Carpus, who was a member of the Ma Barker gang.
Lessons in what?
Guitar.
The guitar?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a few things on the guitar, young fella. Come on here, sit down in my bunk. First, you got to pay the fee.
Oh, yeah.
You got it?
Yeah, here's 2 packs of smokes and a small person.
Look, this is a lesson. This isn't a lesson in a reach around.
How else is he going to pay for anything in
Just
prison?
a chocolate milk for a lesson. How expensive do you think lessons are? This is
maybe 2, 3. Well, cigarettes were dirt cheap back then. They were
you
5
said
cents
pack.
a pack. Yeah.
Oh, a pack?
Cigarettes were I remember my grandma buying cigarettes that were 50 cents. We're talking about the 50s.
The scene
and the
we're
60s.
The scene we're doing is a period piece. We're taking it all the way back. We're not moderning it up.
Now 2 packs of smokes is like a fucking car payment.
So, what is that guy best known for?
He was in the Ma Barker gang. He murdered people. Yeah. They were one of those fancy gangs.
Hell of a guitar instructor.
Mm-hmm. Charles could play.
Handy with the ice pick. He was a handy with the ice pick as well.
I'm sure he was. I mean, I don't know how exactly you get the name Creepy, but I imagine it involves being good with an ice pick.
Or something that removes things.
But everybody thinks it sucks because he actually, the reason he's good with an ice pick is because he's an ice sculptor. And he makes the most beautiful swans, but he won't ever let anyone see him because he's afraid. He's afraid to let them see his heart. He's
the first person to use a blowtorch to make it shiny. He doesn't want anyone to see his secret.
No, but that's the love in his heart, and he's just trying to let it out. You, Creepy Carpus, you are too beautiful for this world.
Jesus Christ. The guy's a murderer.
Yeah, he was a piece of shit. We're joking. Just to be clear.
I don't know. I looked in your eyes, and you had love in your eyes. You had emotion.
The only reason I think
you're welling up
that is because I don't actually know anything about the Ma Barker gang or Creepy Carpus.
Oh my God, they're one of the best gangs. Them, the Crips, the Bloods,
Purple Gang.
Yeah, the Weathermen. Was that a gang?
I think that Chicago was a disco band. Are you talking about the Weather Underground?
I think they're called the Weathermen.
The weird terrorists.
Yeah, I think they're called the Weathermen.
Yeah, I thought it was the Weather Underground.
If you have Dinner in Hell, who's right? go to Facebook, comment below this episode's thread. And is Brad right? Weather Underground, or is Ron right? The Weathermen for this terroristic group of men. Yeah, back in the day. Okay, and we're back. Charles Manson family. Around age 32, he gets out of prison.
Back to freedom. Good old Charlie. He takes off and he goes to where it's happening. He wants to get his music career off. He wants to get started, so he goes to where it's most happening, which, as you may know, is the Haight-Ashbury in 1966. He gets out to Haight-Ashbury.
San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco. The Haight-Ashbury is like the hippie neighborhood in there.
My God, they have the best rice-a-roni.
I don't doubt it. It's probably the most authentic, true to form.
So good. A lot of acid going around at that time.
Yep.
It was right around the time of like hippie shit going, long hair.
He had his first hit of acid. He said a 15-year-old kid turned him on to the scene and gave him acid at a Grateful Dead concert.
Charlie was at a Grateful Dead concert?
Hell yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, all of this is like steeped in the whole hippie. It's like the death of hippiedom. That's what this all is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he mostly lived by begging, but maybe falling back a little bit on his pimp experience, he attracts a woman named Mary Brunner. She was a university librarian for California, Berkeley. And before long, 18 other women shared her residence.
Holy sh... Is this Mary... Was this the person that owned the property that was blind?
No, that's out at Spawn Ranch a little bit later.
Okay,
yeah.
Sorry. I knew that was coming. Sorry.
No, Mary was like in like one of the women.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's one of the killers.
No, she gets out before then, I think.
She's not one of the killers.
She's not one of the killers.
She is not one of the killers.
Nope.
No, she's not.
I mean, soon after that, his philosophy that he comes at people with is basically a mix of some bizarre Christian sect that believed at the end of the world the God and Satan will make friends and judge everyone together, combined with a lot of Scientology that he picked up in prison.
Really?
Yeah, actually on a prison intake form, he listed his religion as Scientology when he got put back in one of the times.
Wow.
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe that someone like Manson would... Someone that has like a weird reputation.
Yeah, would be attracted in any way to sign. Me too. It's a total surprise. I would never say anything bad about the Church of Scientology in public ever in any way.
They're sweet.
Yeah, and very litigious.
I love how freaking secluded they are in private and make you not talk to your family members. That's really cool.
Yeah, and the places where they take you to go, but then like you are free to go. You are super allowed to leave those places whenever you want. They're not holding people there against their will in any way. And to say so would be just an outrageous attempt at libel.
Yeah.
Or slander. I mean,
anybody. I think it's a good idea that, you know, whenever there's like a sexual abuse scandal, like they like to handle it internally and not like go outside the church with it and like let the public know.
Mm-hmm. Just stand up, great organization. Like, can't fault them at all.
Huh. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, Charles Manson was a Scientologist.
Bizarre philosophy that he cooked up that was horrible and wound up getting 9 people dead. That's what we were talking about originally before we had our digression.
Which we're not known to do.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the most kind of fucked up intersections to this whole story happened the day when Beach Boy Dennis Wilson picked up 2 hitchhiking family members, 2 good-looking young girls walking down a road.
Hop in.
We're talking about
surfboard. Just move the surfboard out of the way.
Patricia Krenwinkel, Big Patty, and Ella Jo Bailey.
That's 3, right?
No, it's just 2.
Oh. You said Big Patty.
Big Patty is Patricia Krenwinkel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they all have like a zillion names. If you ever try to research this, have fun. I was going to try to like do a list, but it would take the whole episode. Now, so eventually, after partying with the 2 girls for a while, Dennis Wilson leaves to go lay down a few tracks because he's in the Beach Boys.
Right.
When he comes back, he finds Charles Manson standing in his driveway, and his house is full of 24 strangers.
It's like, let's party. We got a bag of toot. I got some LSD.
LSD and weed.
I got some hemp.
Yeah, weed and LSD were the drugs on hand, generally speaking, at the Wilson residence. And they got along pretty well. Manson and Wilson were definitely friends. They may have said they would have been on the same trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He liked his light.
Yeah, they basically would hang out and like talk.
Dennis recorded some of Manson's music.
He did. He certainly did.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And it's decent.
Yeah, it's not terrible. You can see why he didn't make it as a rock star. You can definitely see that, but it's not like it's not a joke. It's good.
Yeah, it's not like he's singing about let's go out killing tonight. He's singing like real songs that he.
Yeah, and it was good enough for the Beach Boys to steal one of his songs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Beach Boys straight up stole one of his songs.
Son of a bitch.
They kept even some of the lyrics. They kept the whole melody.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's Manson today is a rich millionaire to this day from that lawsuit.
He is dead. Very recently, actually.
So he picks up the hitchhiking women. They're like, "Hey, is it cool if we invite some of our friends over?"
No.
24 people are at his house.
They did not ask. He thought he was coming back home to just Big Patty and Ella Jo, but everybody was there.
Like, you got any food?
No, they ate a bunch of that.
That's what they're asking him when he gets home.
You got any more? Did you go grocery shopping?
Let's go get a bucket of chicken or something. Manson with a drumstick in his mouth. Yeah. Manson was probably vegetarian. He's like cutting edge.
Yeah. I recall him saying something praising one of the women that were in the family, how good of cooks they were, by saying, "You wouldn't believe what she could do with some dumpster vegetables."
I just gulped.
Yeah.
Just brush the ants off. You're good.
Yeah, when the Beach Boys manager finally came in and kicked all the people out, Dennis Wilson didn't kick him out. The manager had to finally be like, "This is
party's over,
way beyond acceptable." Yeah, they had cost Brian Wilson in the form of damages. Oh, Dennis, not Brian. Brian's a different kind of crazy.
Brian's like, Manson's a pretty nice guy.
Yeah,
I get him. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it cost Dennis Wilson $100,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, they destroyed a car that they borrowed from him. They ate all his food. They trashed his house. Yeah, they cost him $100,000 in their brief interaction.
Studio time.
Yep, that ate into the fun too.
The tape cost for the tape.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't know, when you record at a recording studio as a band or musician, you also buy the tape.
Well, after that, they ramble on for a while longer, eventually settling down at a place called Spawn Movie Ranch. It was a ranch that wasn't a ranch, it was a movie set.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of broken down by this point, too.
Yeah.
They were basically sort of scraping by on given pony rides.
And the landowner was the blind guy.
Yes, yeah. He was an 80-year-old blind guy, and he let the family stay there rent-free for the occasional, shall we say, services of one Lynette Squeaky Fromm.
And let me tell you why they call her Squeaky.
Why is that?
You're going to have to private message us. I will not say it on this program. That's not my freaking style.
Yeah.
My podcasting style.
I get you. he did make, like useful industry contacts, though. He got kind of close to actually having a recording career. He actually did. That was his plan the whole time. That was the only thing he gave a shit about. Music, that was his only, like, deal. It was the only thing he liked that wasn't, like, stealing.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, the sex he describes with the women in the family is not what you would guess if you were thinking of like a murderous cult. It is extraordinarily tender, and honestly, he sounds like a first-rate cocksman.
Some would describe it as squeaky. I mean, you never know. When he was a boy in church, when his aunt and uncles, he loved the singing in the church. He loved that part.
Yeah, he did like.
He had a little musical bone in his body.
Yeah, sort of like Koresh.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else was a musician?
Nero played the lyre. Man, look at you put me on the spot. What did Hitler play something?
No, he was a painter.
Yeah. Let me paint you a postcard. It's a picture of a German building with a flower. Thanks. What's your name? It's Adolf Hitler. You're going to be a really good painter one day. People are going to really admire you one day. Okay, thanks.
Hey, maybe this is another...
Safe travels.
Another moral. Support artists. Not just the commercially successful ones. Maybe you can avert some of this.
A young Hitler saying safe travels or something. You take care now.
Danke. Well, but they'd had the industry contacts. They were working, but they tried and failed several times to record any sort of demo. They did not respond well to being produced, let's say. Like, they were basically, I mean, go look up any news footage of these people. They were on acid like 24/7. They were stoned out of their minds. They were doing crazy drugs that I haven't even heard of when I was researching this shit. Like belladonna root. Fucking Tex Watson, who you hear about later. You're supposed to make a tea that you brew for like 12 hours with this belladonna root that has this like super intense, very unpleasant, like hallucinogen.
Great.
Yeah.
Let me sign me up for that.
Yeah, one of the Manson women was making a tea with it in the kitchen. Tex is like, "What's this?"
Oh, I'm gonna drink the whole thing.
No, he just fucking took the belladonna root and took like 3 huge bites out of it, and he woke up like 3 days later crawling around in a fucking playground like 7 cities away. Yeah, they were doing fucking crazy shit all the time. So you can imagine, I mean, if you've never been in a recording studio, it's not fun. It is all work. Nothing about recording music is fun or enjoyable. It's a nightmare. You'll play the same like 8 bars 35 times in a row. It's hard work, and it requires you to be very diligent and focused. Like, you shouldn't be partying in a recording studio ever. You'll make a shitty fucking record.
Yeah.
So when they're all stoned and like spinning around, they're dancing, they're trying to move the microphones all over the place. And one of the most important things to getting a good sound is microphone placement.
Jesus, what is this? Freaking...
I don't know. I've tried to produce people, and I'm just imagining being at the like console with fucking the Manson family, and I'm trying to get them to make a record, and frankly, it has given me a conniption.
This is our most informative freaking recording insider inside the recording music studios.
Ooh.
From analog tape to freaking mic placement.
Hey, hashtag edutainment.
That's right.
Around 1968 is when all of this kind of goes south, further south. Manson hears the Beatles' White Album, and he becomes obsessed with it as well. According to him, everybody else did, and he went along with it, which may be true, because he didn't want to be a cult leader. He wanted fans. And that was his thing, is he's like, this is my image. I'm this hippie guru, and I got all these girls with me.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to be a rock star. And when that fell through, he didn't have anything to fall back on. And I mean, you may have partied a bit in your day.
I've partied.
Yeah, so you know when you're at a party and it's like the next morning and it starts to get a little weird and dark in the party? Imagine if do you know what I'm talking about? Like, people will start saying some weird shit at like 7 o'clock in the morning the next day after like a weird blowout party.
Sure.
Like when you've been going all night long. Yeah. Imagine a party that never stopped for like 3 years of just acid 24/7. It's going to get fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think some of this might have spiraled out of his control, but he's definitely still a scumbag. I keep feeling the need to reiterate that.
I think towards the end of the acid turned into people doing speed, becoming more delusional and more.
We're talking about amphetamines.
Yeah.
Yeah, which maybe people today might be more familiar with them in the form of methamphetamines.
Right.
Yeah, but that's basically still the same drug. He thought the Beatles had also predicted an aspect of his philosophy, which were the rising tensions between black and white Americans. I mean, a key footnote here for him is the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., and also an incident in which Charles had thought he shot he shot a black drug dealer named Bernard Lots of Papa Crow.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought he killed him. He hadn't. And then when a Black Panther turned up dead the next day, or that weekend, he thought that he had killed a Black Panther. So he was like, oh man, they're going to be popping off now too. And he thought there would be like a race war that he called Helter Skelter after the Beatles song.
Yeah.
Which would see the black people rise up and wipe the earth clean of all white people. Right?
Okay.
Yep. So that's going to happen first. But then what he so he believes the black people are superior and will win the war, but he's still a racist asshole because he believes that they won't be able to function without white people.
Yeah, and they'll beg the white people to come back and like help them and save them.
Yes. So when the Manson
we
family
can handle his computer
emerges from some secret desert city that he had told them existed, they would be asked to rule over the entire world. That was what these people were operating off of, that foundation. Okay?
Yeah. When they were in that old ranch with that old broke down set, they would act out plays and like movie scenes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And also Charlie would do crucifixion scenes, like really intense, like dramatic ones, like for real, crucified with a cross. And then he'd be like, I'll die for you. Will you die for me? Freaking.
Yeah, if you listen to him talk, though, it's basically just like a spew of incomprehensible, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he'll be like, oh, you're on the same trip, man. I'm on a God trip. Are you on a God trip? I'm on the trip.
My Jesus? You Jesus? There's all
Jesus?
kinds of Jesuses.
Yeah, if I'm Jesus and you're Jesus and we have sex, then Jesus decided to have sex with Jesus.
That's 100
What's
Jesuses.
wrong in that?
This world has 100 Jesuses in it.
There's a Brazilian Jesus.
Yeah.
And
a black Jesus in Africa. There's a Mexican Jesus down there in Mexico.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, he's just constantly saying, like, word soup is just pouring out of his mouth. But when you're on acid, it probably sounds awesome, I'm guessing.
Listen to him speak. The golden tongue. Man with the golden tongue, they called him around the ranch.
Yeah, we talked about the failure of his rock and roll career, what may have been the final straw that pushed the group to try and, one of the causes anyway, was a superstar producer, Terry Melcher, was supposed to come out to Spawn Ranch to hear some of the songs.
Yeah. And
he just didn't show up.
Blew him off.
Another possible motive was the murder that had occurred of Gary Hinman. Now, Gary Hinman was a supplier to the family of drugs. He was a chemist. He made drugs, notably mescaline. which the Mansons would then trade with a biker gang. They had a lot of connections with biker gangs. The Manson family did.
I bet.
Yeah, oh yeah. With the drugs, they were all into it. And Manson liked it because being involved with bikers made him feel like a big, strong, tough guy.
You want to rev it, Charlie? You want to sit on my lap and rev it?
His feet wouldn't touch the ground.
Yeah.
Again, I'm making fun of him like I'm not only 3 inches taller than him. Oh, yeah, but Hinman, there was a bad batch of mescaline, evidently, and the bikers tossed it because it made a bunch of people sick. So they came back, and they were like, we want our money. And Hinman was like, okay, I'll take the drugs. Let me figure out what's wrong with them. I'll fix it. And they were like, we throw them away. And then he was like, what do you think this is? Sears? I'm not giving you your fucking money back. This is a drug deal. It's a customer service desk. But, when the bikers turned on the Mansons decided to try to get the money out of Hinman because they thought he was rich. So they were going to go rob him. That was the plan.
Did Sears sell drugs?
No, I don't believe so.
I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm just
kidding. I'm messing with you.
That was a good one. You definitely had me going. Yeah, but they things got out of hand there. Tex was there. Charles was there. At one point, Charles came over to intimidate him and tried pulling out a samurai sword to intimidate him, but he accidentally cut Hinman's ear off.
Charles did?
Yeah.
Ooh, ow.
But then immediately left.
Put it on ice.
Yeah. Actually, 2 of the girls that were there sewed his ear back on with dental floss.
The mint kind.
It was all for nothing, though. They could have just left his ear off because after 3 days of having him, he didn't have any fucking money. He had a bunch of debt and stuff. He didn't own his car. He didn't own his house. He was paying on all that. He didn't have any cash. Yeah. So after 3 days, family member Bobby Beausoleil stabbed him in the chest twice, killing him. He snapped and did it. Then to try and cover up why the crime was done, they took his blood and they wrote on the wall, "Political Piggy." Because they were trying to frame the Black Panthers for the crime. Why the Black Panthers would go after this Gary Hinman guy, nobody could say. But that was their desperate attempt to try and remain safe.
When researching for this show, I heard that Hinman never heard his assassin coming.
I think you can still hear out of the bloody ear hole. Just not as well.
He never did. Scabbed up. He was asleep with his left ear on the pillow.
Oh,
his attached ear, his dental floss ear up, filled with caked with scabbed blood. Never heard his assassin.
Yeah. So revenge against Melcher may be one reason because the murders took place in a house that Terry Melcher used to own. Some of the murders that would now happen did. And that might be a failed motive. The other murder, because the subsequent murders were designed to look just like that first one, to make it look like they were still connected and still happening, because they had a family member as a person of interest or in custody for the first one. So they're like, well, if he's in there and there's another murder that's exactly like it, they'll know he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another reason why these murders happened. And, of course, the reason they gave within the cult is that this was an attempt to set off Helter Skelter. They were saying, oh, it's not going to happen on its own. We got to nudge it in the right direction.
Really?
Yeah.
Strategic killing.
Yep. So on the night of August 8th, 1969, Manson directed Watson, good old Tex, to take Susan Atkins, Linda Kasabian, and Patricia Krenwinkel to Melcher's former home and kill everyone inside of it. Manson claims it wasn't his idea, that they suggested it, and he was like, well, sure, if you want to. Half serious, half not, but it was probably his plan.
Yeah.
And they would proceed to kill the 6 people they found there, including super famous actress at the time, Sharon Tate, who was
8.5 weeks pregnant.
8 months pregnant.
8.5 months pregnant.
Very pregnant. Jay Sebring,
Who's a hairstylist?
To the stars.
Oh, everybody knows Sebring's work.
Abigail Folger.
Oh, heir to the Folger's throne of coffee.
Mm-hmm. And Wojciech Frykowski.
Who was well known for his French fry chain.
Also, Stephen Parent, who didn't know a single person in the house and would just happen to be visiting a guy who worked as a caretaker. Yeah. He was actually the first to get killed. Tech stopped him in the driveway and he shot him just with a .22, bang, bang, right there in the car. He was like, hey, what's going on? I'm just trying to get out of this gate. And he was like, die. Shoot him. Shot him twice.
22.
Yep. They, after going into the house, Frykowski woke up to Tex Watson kicking him in the face. And then he told him, I am the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's work. That's where they got that quote from. That's where Rob Zombie got that quote from for the What's It family and those movies like A House of a Thousand Crime, the devil. Yeah, that was what Tex Watson said when he woke up Wojciech Frykowski off the couch.
Rob Zombie used a lot of Manson history in his music and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Carving X in your head references.
After that, Tate, Sebring, and Folger were all apprehended and brought together to the living room. They were tied up. They had like pillowcases over their heads,
like a lamp cord or something.
That I
some
think
electrical cord.
That was in the next set of murders that we'll get to.
Okay,
but they were tied together at the neck, and the I think it may have been a cord here too. You might be right. The one I'm thinking of is from the other house, but they throw it over a beam in the center of the ceiling, so they have to like stand up on their tiptoes. They're not comfortable. Now, after several times protesting how roughly the family members were treating the very obviously pregnant Sharon Tate, Watson shot Jay Sebring, later stabbing him 7 more times, killing him. Abigail Folger made it as far as the front lawn, where she was pursued by Krenwinkel and Watson and stabbed 28 times. Frykowski attempted an escape, but Watson caught him at the door and pistol whipped him so hard he broke the handle of the gun.
Pistol whip? Whatever. So stupid.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit you with my gun.
Guns are really heavy and really hard. They make a really good bludgeoning weapon.
I know, but just pull the trigger and let that fricker go. You freaking messing around breaking the handle off your gun.
He did shoot him, too. He shot him a couple of times while he was still he still made it out the door. Yeah. Eventually, they stabbed him 51 times.
It's like Rasputin. He's like, try poison me now.
Yeah,
see what happens.
He fucking went out like a tank, man.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, Sharon Tate, after begging for her and her unborn baby's life, was stabbed by Tex and Susan Atkins 16 times. Linda Kasabian, she did try to stop what was happening. As soon as she realized what was going on, she ran up and like knocked on the door because she was outside watching. She ran up and knocked on the door and was like, hey, someone's coming, even though nobody was coming. But she was trying to be like, we got to go. Stop what you're doing. Let's leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that should be noted. The next set of murders that occurred was the very next night. And
nearby.
Oh, yeah. To the same people that went out last night, they added Leslie Van Houten and Steve Clem Grogan.
Good old Clem.
Yeah.
Come on, Clem. You're riding shotgun. Come on, fella.
Yeah, along with Charles Manson himself. They drove around for a few hours before ending up at a house next door to a party. The house next door to the one they hit. They'd been to a party there a few years before.
Mm-hmm.
Now, first Manson and Tex entered the house of Leno and Rosemary LaBianca.
This guy owns a grocery chain or something.
Mm-hmm. They roused Leno from where he was sleeping on the couch at gunpoint, tying him up, and then going into the bedroom and getting Rosemary and doing the same. Now, at this point, Manson leaves. Because, like, he's not a killer. He's not into this part. He kind of, like... He even at one point tries to set up a scenario where Leno might attack him. Like he let his ropes out, and then Charles turned his back to him because the only way he was gonna be able to stab him was if he was getting attacked. Like he's not a murder guy. Charles, he's very different from like Dahmer or somebody that we talked about. He's way closer to a Koresh or a Jim Jones.
There's one thing that you forgot to mention with the Sharon Tate murders. There's two things we moved on without mentioning. This was the house of Roman Polanski, the director.
Yes, it was. Who was, I believe...
her husband.
Yes, married to Sharon Tate.
So the baby was Roman Polanski's baby.
Yes.
And he was out of the country, probably doing something for film. He was a director.
Yes.
Now, the crime scene... with the blood of the victims, they wrote on the walls. You didn't mention that.
Oh, yes. In Sharon Tate's blood, they did write the word pig on the front door of the Tate household.
Okay. Now we move on to the next night at the next murder. They kill this couple, and they write on their walls.
Oh, yeah. I think it should be mentioned, too, that Roman Polanski is a terrible person. Manson couldn't get it up to murder Leno or Rosemary. And so he leaves and he sends in the other people that came with him. Leslie Van Houten and Clem and everybody goes into the house. And the instructions are everybody participates in the murder.
Everybody gets dirty.
Yeah, everybody stabs.
Yeah. Hand her the knife. Take the knife. And then...
So, Watson...
They write on the walls yet?
No.
Okay.
Yes. At this point, Watson starts stabbing Leno with a bayonet that he found in the house and carves the word war into his abdomen.
Oh. Watson's a psychopath. Is he on acid this whole time?
Or worse. I mean, who knows?
God.
This is after he ate the belladonna plant, so he was like permanently even more fucked up after he'd done that. Rosemary was trying to defend herself with the lamp that they had tied around her neck to like hold her, but she'd gotten a hold of the lamp that was on the other end of the cord, and she was swinging it around trying to defend herself. Watson came in and stabbed her to subdue her. And then Big Patty and Leslie Van Houten stabbed her 41 times.
Oh my God! Sometimes on our program they'll have a sound drop of a stab sound. I can't imagine doing that for real.
41 of them,
like the blade sinking into the meat, like over and over.
Yeah, that's rough. This is when they did the writing, though.
Yay!
Yeah, while Tex took a shower and cleaned off, because evidently he got pretty messy, Big Patty wrote Rise and Death to Pigs and Helter Skelter, which is a misspelling of Helter Skelter, on the wall in the La Bianca's blood. It's got to hurt to misspell Helter Skelter, the whole foundation of your cult's theology.
You blew
it? Come on, Patty.
Manson told them...
Do better.
Manson told them to do something witchy.
Yeah.
Do something witchy. Leave something for him to... That's what they wrote that shit for, so make them like the press and stuff wonder about it.
Yeah. On their way out the house, too, Patty also stabbed Leno another 14 times with a carving fork.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been stabbed with a fork before.
I know. When Manson went outside earlier,
yeah,
he just dipped on them too. They were supposed to hitchhike home after they committed these murders. Because he took...
Lakers were in the finals. He's like, I am not going to miss this fucking game for this stupid murder shit.
Yeah,
I'm going down to the pub.
Well, he there was a planned third murder. He took the other people who were in the car, including Linda Kasabian, and dropped them off at an apartment building to break into a house and do the same kind of murder in there. Mm-hmm. But Linda Kasabian, before they could get to break in, she just like banged on a random door. So a stranger got up and was like, hey, what the fuck? Like screaming and yelling and shit. So they had to get out of there. She like subterfuged it.
This caused like panic in the Hollywood showbiz scene, and like Frank Sinatra like left town. James Dean drove around with a gun in his car with him. Like people were thinking that this was against Hollywood A-list people and like high society.
Yeah, who's the most famous actress now? Would you say
right now?
Yeah, who's like the
Meryl
biggest?
Streep? I don't know.
I don't know, like who would be equivalent to Sharon Tate is what I'm asking.
I have no idea.
Because like I can't think of the last time like a real A-lister got murdered. It may be her.
Murdered?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because she like, I'm saying younger people that don't remember this, might not have any relation to what it would be like if like a big time celebrity got murdered in a brutal, bizarre way today. It'd be like a fucking Angelina Jolie or something, like found like cut to pieces. It's almost unimaginable. They seem invincible, don't they?
The only thing I can think of is for metal fans out there, and it's when the guitarist of the band Pantera was shot on stage.
Oh yeah,
he was murdered, but he's not like
he's like a
he was like A-list in metal.
Yeah, everybody knows Pantera is, but it's like I don't know, I'm not that.
Yeah, I'm saying,
what if Scarlett
in metal?
If Scarlett Johansson was in that house, I guess that would probably be pretty similar.
But I'm pretty sure that they didn't know who was going to be in that house. So that they just knew that they thought the producer lived there. That blew him off.
No, they knew he moved out, but they were just like, well, here's a rich house we know.
Kill whoever lives there.
Yeah.
And it's Sharon Tate.
Yep. Now, I will say, before they fled the apartment building, I guess to still say sort of a fuck you, even though they didn't to kill anyone, Susan Atkins took a shit in the stairwell.
Really?
Yeah.
That's our second mad shitter.
Yeah.
Then Albert Fish leaves shits in hotels and stuff.
Yes, he did.
God damn it, man.
And yet another crossover.
Hey, by the way, I mentioned that it was Roman Polanski's house and wife.
Uh-huh.
Little Dinner in Hell going deep moment.
Dinner in Hell going deep.
At age 83 to this day has said that he is still to this day has never visited the grave of his dead wife Sharon Tate or their son that was killed 8.5 weeks in uterus.
That is true.
He has never. Isn't it crazy? Like, I wonder what could keep a man that so from visit. Like, it must have been so painful for him. It must be too painful for him to visit.
Well, it would be painful for him to visit because the reason that he hasn't been is because they are buried in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
And if Roman Polanski returns to the United States of America, they'll put him in prison because he raped a 13-year-old girl.
Oh, that's right. He fled the U.S.
Yeah, he's on the run from the law, technically.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why it's not a cute thing.
It wasn't.
He's like too hurt to go to the grave.
It's too painful. I can't possibly.
He is a fugitive from justice.
Yeah.
Although technically, I don't know if he ever stood trial. I think he ran out on his bail or before they could arrest him.
In 2009, he was picked up in Zurich, and the U.S. wanted him sent there, but they didn't. He was on house arrest there.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was some
mansion.
Awful. Yeah, I don't think there is awful houses in Switzerland. Zurich, Switzerland.
Yeah. Yep. Now, the thing about this is this is kind of before serial killers was even really a thing, 1969. So the police didn't link any of the murder scenes right away. They treated them completely different.
Yeah.
They're in different jurisdictions, too.
Yeah. Oh, another thing was because they were in different jurisdictions, they didn't release like the pig written on the wall and then the other shit written on the wall at the grocery guy's house.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want copycat killers, so they didn't release that detail. So like word never got around to each other.
Yeah, because like
you're saying,
weird, unique thing about it, nobody knew about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Dinner in Hell freaking facts.
Only after they had exhausted every possible lead they had did they ask the other departments when they noticed the similarities to the Hinman case. Now, from the Hinman murder, they remembered that they were like, I think this Manson family maybe had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But they never arrested anybody from the family or tracked them down for the purposes of investigating those murders.
Right.
What did happen, however, is Spawn Ranch was raided because one of the things the Manson family did was steal shitloads of VW bugs to turn into dune buggies. So they got picked up. Everybody got arrested for being part of a car theft ring.
I want to watch freaking Devil's Rejects when after this. I just want to see this mayhem on screen.
You know, when they were all in jail for having stolen car parts and shit, though, the mad shitter herself, Susan Atkins, confessed to the murders to her cellmate.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I can't believe they only got me in here for doom buggies. If they only knew we killed those people and stabbed them. Look at the blood under my fingers.
How fucking stupid is she?
Fucking running her mouth like an idiot. You blew it.
And then with something that juicy, of course the cellmate snitched.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the cellmate got fucking immunity and shit from whatever they were in there for. Like, hey,
I got some
you want me to
juicy.
solve the two most biggest news-making unsolved crimes maybe that have ever happened in a long-ass time?
Let's talk chocolate milks.
Yeah, exactly. I want $8 trillion in my commissary account.
And I'm not doing license plates anymore.
Nope. Now, and think about this. The original judge ruled that Charles Manson could be his own attorney in the defense. Could you imagine how fun that would have been to watch? Charles Manson defending himself in a court of law? Holy shit.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
But after what were described as absurd pretrial motions, he was like, yeah, you're not defending yourself. You need a fucking lawyer.
Wait, no. Are we talking the effects of her running her mouth in the jail cell?
Oh, yeah. They were like...
so now we're talking they've been picked up now on these charges.
Yes.
Okay. Charges are enticing followers to commit murder.
7 counts of murder. All of them were charged with. There was...
Okay. Even Manson? Even though at the time it wasn't...
Yeah, they say he planned it, so you're in.
Yeah.
That would the ones who got charged with the murders were Charles Manson, Charles Tex Watson, Susan the Mad Shitter Atkins, Leslie Van Houten, fucking Milhouse's mom, and Big Patty, Patricia Krenwinkel.
Mm-hmm.
They were all the ones in court. On the first day of trial, Manson showed up with an X carved into his forehead. And as soon as anybody else saw it, all of the other Manson family members copied it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, he was constantly turning around and like making faces at like the jurors and like people they were just in the courtroom. Like he would constantly putting on a show. Like,
yeah, it was nonstop zaniness.
Oh man, what a great freaking courtroom that I've been sitting like, holy shit. Live tweet.
Mm-hmm. I mean, all throughout, all of the family members, not just him, were really disruptive and they threatened the trial.
He told him to do shit.
Oh, hell yeah. Family members would congregate around the like entrances and doorways, like clogging up the whole courthouse or setting up camp out front on the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. And it was really easy to tell because they all fucking had X's carved into their foreheads.
Jesus Christ.
And they were just trying to spread like his glorious message to all the people that were around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His X, we talked about his swastika tattoo. Yeah, it was originally an X, and then he got it changed with ink.
I mean, witnesses were threatened, jury members were threatened. Former family member Ruth Ann Morehouse, she lured the former family member Barbara Hoyt on a trip to Hawaii and spiked her burger with a shit ton of LSD.
Mm-hmm.
So much that like she woke up like a day later in like a Honolulu gutter, having no idea what happened, but she still made it back to testify.
Jesus Christ! You ever seen The Game with Michael Douglas
And
Sean Penn?
oh no, I'm thinking of Surviving the Game with
Ice-T. Yeah. So let me just say something.
David Fincher. Yeah.
No, wait. Surviving the Game with Ice-T. I rented a videotape from a video store, and that video store closed while I had the tape. So I like owned Surviving the Game. Like,
Nice.
I've seen it way too many times.
It's good.
I'm gonna leave a cigarette here on this tree bark. You're gonna smell it over here. But there was something else I wanted to say. Are you aware of the guy that was on the defense team that was found dead in the woods?
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, there was a guy that was former person that was on his defense that disagreed with like Manson and them on some of the things. He was like released, so like his services weren't needed anymore. Was found like dead. And they believe he was murdered in the woods. They found him in the woods dead.
And just
they
walk
believe
out
it
there.
might have been murder.
Maybe, just maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manson himself even once leapt the defense table and attacked the judge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as he was dragged away, all of the family members stood up as one and started chanting in Latin in the courtroom.
Awesome.
And from that day afterwards, the judge oversaw the whole rest of the trial with a revolver in his hand.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is how we do it. We're going to do things a little different now.
Now, the prosecution star witness, Linda Kasabian, got immunity because, she tried to actually kind of try and stop this. She had only just joined up like a month before that or whatever.
I hate stabbing, guys. I hate stabbing, y'all. I hate it.
Yeah. Now, Manson, Watson, Atkins, Van Houten, and Krenwinkel all received the death sentence. They all got death penalties. They were commuted to life without parole because California deemed the death penalty unconstitutional at a later date.
Right. And the thing is when they had Manson in jail, Manson would just keep telling while he's on trial, he would tell the police officers and stuff, and the detectives, "You're just going to send me back home. You ain't sending me to death. You're just going to send me back home," meaning my home is in jail. I lived my whole life in jail. As Brad the Impaler said earlier, he spent more than half of his childhood or young life.
Yeah,
So-
and then he went.
there it goes.
He ended up spending like 90% of his life behind bars because he lived in prison until he died last year.
Yeah, so so these guys are like, I guess he was right. He got sent back home. He didn't get the chair or the gas chamber.
Yeah.
The
Now
green room.
the only other like wrinkle into the future that happened after this is, you remember we talked about Lynette Squeaky Frum.
Oh, Squeaky?
Yeah, she was still bonkers after all this, and in 1980 attempted to assassinate President Gerald Ford.
No way.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what she went to prison for. Squeaky Frum is one of the most notorious Manson family members, but she did not know about the murders either before or after they happened. They were complete news to her when everyone else got arrested. She didn't know about them at all.
Yeah.
And
Her track record was squeaky clean up to that point.
Squeaky.
During the trials, Nixon was on the news talking about, we got to lock up this Manson family and these murderers, blah, blah, blah. And it was the main headline on the newspaper. So frickin' Manson next day in court holds up the newspaper. He's like, mistrial, bitch. He's like, Nixon, the president can't go on TV and say that I'm guilty.
Yeah.
You fuckers.
Yeah, it should have been a mistrial,
And it
but
was.
they weren't.
I
it?
think they redid trial for a different time.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
I think so. I don't know. Dinner and hell assumptions, presumptions. Frickin' that does that wrap up the Manson portion of this?
Mm-hmm.
You want to go through? Remember when we did the mummification episode and we did the Brendan Fraser quotes?
Yeah,
where we looked up like, and we kind of like, just kind of like, you know, gave our 2 cents on each one, our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just like the Brendan Fraser one, let's blast through a couple. Okay,
I'm really excited to hear these.
This one I think everyone's heard, but here we go. You know, a long time ago, being crazy meant something. Nowadays, everybody's crazy.
I mean, honestly, I can't say I disagree with him.
There's some crazy mother effers out there.
Yeah, world's sick. Sorry.
Try driving in Michigan. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
We're not in Wonderland anymore, Alice. I could just picture Charles yelling that in the judge's face.
Yeah, like,
food flying out of his mouth.
Yeah, making weird faces and doing like swaying back and forth and shit with like the front half of his head shaved.
If you're going to do something, do it well and leave something witchy, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's weird.
The real strong have no need to prove it to the phonies.
Sounds like Holden Caulfield.
Is that the author of Marley and Me again?
No, it's a character from the book The Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, okay.
He calls everybody phonies.
Manson's a big Catcher in the Rye fan.
May have been.
Pain is not bad. It's good. It teaches you things. I understand that.
Well, yeah, I don't think anyone would ever accuse Charlie of being very bright. I don't think he got much of an education, but you're right. Once you touch a hot stove, you learn not to do it again. I assume that's what he's kind of talking about. It's true. I mean, I can't deny the veracity of his claim.
Wouldn't these be funny if they were Brendan Fraser quotes? Like, Brendan Fraser,
his fucking opinions were more controversial.
Remorse for what? You people have done everything in the world to me. Doesn't that give me equal right? Brendan Fraser. No, that's Charles Manson. Yeah.
He did kind of get a rough shake, but come on, man. You can't do stuff like this. You can't have a cult. It's dumb. And you should know better. And you're a bad person because you had a cult and you had them kill people.
You know what I see in the future is a Dinner in Hell cult. And I see for the Dinner in Hell cult, we live in a nice, mild climate state in North America because no other countries would take us. So it's got to be in America. You got to come here.
And there's always a chance that if we leave, they won't let us back.
So we want to, we're going to have a little commune, Dinner in Hell commune.
That'd be awesome.
And we're going to be self-sustaining. We have a windmill.
Yeah, we're not going to steal all your money, and I don't want to fool around with any of your spouses. You can keep your spouses when you come to the Hellhead commune.
Speak for yourself, BT. I'll carry the burden of sex for all. That's a freaking... I was watching the Waco series on cable, and they're doing the Koresh thing. It's like a couple of weeks, you know. And he says that to one of the guys who's like, do you agree to be celibate? What do you mean? I carry the burden of sex for all of us here. Like he's explaining it to a new member. I was like, I carry the burden of sex. And
I'd be like, hold on a minute. I think I left my wallet in the car.
Yeah.
I will be totally right back, though.
There's a sex scene where Koresh is on top of this woman and they're done. And he's like, she's like, what is it? And he's like, I started to enjoy myself. God, you know, like, sex is only for procreation, not for enjoying.
It's a pretty clever lie, though.
It's Koresh, man.
Because if he was like playing air guitar or some shit during it, like really having a good time, they'd be like burdened.
Think you're enjoying that guitar, Koresh?
Yeah.
So we just covered Manson and the Manson family story. You've heard it before. You've heard it from us. A little more in depth.
Yeah. I'll cut this off. I'm aware that there's lots of stuff we didn't talk about. We could have done a fucking 15-part Manson episode. But, I mean, before we get the deluge of messages we're going to get about all the stuff we left out, you know.
Manson family members, like nephews now, like young, new, old, you know, third generation.
Yeah.
This is what my granddad did, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, so before we get those messages, we know we missed a lot, but we wanted to get this in one episode for you. Anything that we forgot that you thought was crucial, that we definitely shouldn't have cut out, hit us up on Twitter, at Dinner and Hell Pod. We're on Facebook. We're on SoundCloud. We're on YouTube. We're on Stitcher. We're everywhere.
Yeah. Go to our Facebook page, and there's usually a little conversation under the episode that we post each week on Sunday.
Yeah, there might be some good extras in there.
Yeah. Well, this audience is
beautiful, sensitive, and just wonderful as ever.
And did you want to go ahead and close out the show there, Brad?
Well, we're going to do things a little differently tonight. Tonight, we're going to be played out by the music of Mr. Charles Manson himself.
The time goes flying. Think you're loving, baby, and all you're doing is crying. Can you feel? Are those feelings real? Look at your game, girl. Look at your game, girl. What a mad delusion. Living in that confusion, frustration and doubt. Can you ever live without the game? The sad